Chase Laga here with the Blue Futon. Now you might be wondering, what am I reviewing next? Well, it is 13 Reasons Why Season 2. Trust me, this one is not going to be as long as the first one that I did, which was 27 minutes. And plus, this is like my third time doing this because either the microphone right here does this weird static, or it just sounds like I'm mumbling and making no sense with what I'm trying to say. So, let's get this correct this time, Chase. And now, sit back and relax and watch 13 Reasons Why Season 2 review after this intro. Let's go. What I'm not going to do is like last time where I did the Hannah blame game of all the other students. Because A, it's not the same order, and B, Season 2 is more about the trials and these Polaroid pictures that are coming out to prove that Hannah is not the only one that's been sexually assaulted at Woodbury High School. So, I'm just going to go from 1 to 13, give a quick recap of the episodes, and maybe give what Clay and other characters are doing. So here we go. Episode 1 was the trial of Tyler. Now this was pretty straightforward. Tyler going on the stand and saying what he did, what he saw. So the new thing that he saw was Hannah sexting another student, which in my opinion is Zach. So after Tyler telling the truth, he gets a lot of flack at school for actually telling the truth, especially Clay. Because Clay has this whole innocence with him, with Hannah. And this kind of behavior that Tyler is seeing is not what Clay thought she was, or the whole perfect angel on his shoulder is not really what people are saying Hannah really is. So episode 1, Tyler told the truth throughout the whole trial. Number 2 was Courtney. And in season 1, I gave her a pretty bad blame. This one, she tells the truth again throughout the trial, saying what she said, the rumors she spread, and how she didn't want it because she's actually a lesbian. So after her telling the truth, it's a pretty mundane episode. And I think this is where the first Polaroid came out, or it was episode 1, I do not remember. But then she goes back to school and Ryan is like, welcome to the club, kind of jokingly that he's gay as well. But episode 2, pretty mundane. Courtney telling the truth. Some other stuff happens, but nothing spectacular. Oh, and a side plot of Clay and Sky are trying to go out, but Hannah keeps appearing. Episode 3 is Jessica's trial. So this is where Alex, Clay, and other people are trying to tell Jessica to tell the truth. Not really tell the truth, tell what she thinks she remembers of the night of the rape, where Bryce raped her. Problem is she doesn't really remember all of it. A lot of it is not coming back to her, so during the trial she really doesn't say that much to put a lot of blame on Bryce. And a lot of it is a lot of he say, she say with this one. So this one is, again, kind of mundane with actually the story goes with telling the truth. You could say she told the truth, and she told her truth of what she actually remembers. Of course, there's a lot of side plot of her going back to school, Bryce, connections and weird subplots of everything. But overall, it's still intriguing. Episode 4 is Marcus. Now, this is the first one where during his intro, he's like, my dad always told me, people are going to throw you to the ground and you got to watch out for yourself. So watching out for yourself is completely lying about everyone in the whole thing. Of how the whole Valentine's Day thing was he basically lied about the whole situation. And he's been caught in the lie by Tyler and Tyler's new friend, Skylar, who is this new anarchy-ist character. He's a rebel. You can call him punk goth, basically. And this is where Marcus is basically a hypocrite. After this episode, he has maybe 2 more episodes and he kind of slithers down and doesn't even show up because of hypocrisy, expulsion, and he does a lot of blackmail to people in this show. So episode 5 is Ryan. And this is the poems of he saw the poems she written, why didn't he say anything? In his defense, poems are depressing. Poems show deep emotions of the people. It doesn't mean they're suicidal. So putting the blame on Ryan for not knowing she's suicidal is very unnecessary because it's showing the story how they both like Justin and other stuff. So overall, Ryan's trial, nothing big happened as well. I think this is where the second Polaroid came in, this one or the next one. But of course, in the background, you have Howard still getting bullied by other people, and a lot of notes are coming on people's car like you talk, you die, and basically shut your mouth, and you don't know the fucking truth. Just stuff like that on notes and everything like that. So it's still going on pretty smoothly. Episode 6 is what I was actually waiting for, and this is Zach. Like, why did Hannah hate Zach so much in season 1? Well, this is because Zach was a virgin as well as Hannah was a virgin. So they were both first timers during the summer Clay was gone. And it was a good love fling of that summer, but the problem is Zach didn't want his sports buddies to find out that him and Hannah were going out. So it kind of stopped. And that's where there was connection and how I was confused in season 1 on why the blame game was on Zach. But no, that was probably the first true loves, was both of them. And this is where kind of Zach gets a lot of flack with his sports buddies of, oh, you didn't tell me that Hannah was your first, and bloody underwear in his locker. And basically this is where you could tell Zach's like, I've almost had enough. And there's also a subplot, I want to call it subplot, but another baseball player, Del Cruz, I believe that's his last name. He's always around Bryce, but you could tell he's uncomfortable around Bryce. Because there's one scene where Alex is like, you're a fucking rapist, Bryce. And then that baseball player turns around and does like a, no, don't say anything. And of course, Jessica was behind him, and Jessica's like, how dare you say that? But you could tell there's other people at play with what they are doing in the show. So now, and with that, Clay attacks Zach. I want to say attack, but verbal attack, saying, how dare you lie about Hannah? And Zach's like, dude, you really need to know that me and Hannah were a thing, and it was actually kind of lovely, Clay, so I'm sorry that that's the truth. And of course, the whole thing of Clay seeing Hannah is, I don't want to call it a premonition, because she's like, I don't know why I'm here. And then every time Clay looks at Hannah, Hannah's like, what? This is my truth. Those tapes are my truth. It's my story. Now these are other people's stories, so you need to kind of deal with it. Episode 7 is Clay. And this is where Clay thought he would be the champion for Hannah. But of course, lawyers on the Liberty High School side figured out they did drugs together. And Hannah literally said right after doing drugs, I feel like killing myself, and no one said anything. And of course, this is kind of the backstory of the original baseball player who died in the drunk driving incident. And this is where they kind of find Justin now, because Justin has been homeless. He's been kind of gone halfway through the season, and they found him on the streets on heroin, black tar heroin, and they're trying to now clean him up to get on trial to go back to school. Episode 8 is the parents. Of course, this is where parents think, we got this in the bag too. But little did we know, Hannah's dad was having an affair with someone. Hannah caught them, and both the dad and Hannah were keeping a secret from the mom. And of course, this goes with the dysfunctional family relationship of also the parents not knowing the signs that Hannah is having. And could this affair lead to Hannah's suicide? And I think with this episode is where the third Polaroid came out of the clubhouse. Now, episode 9 is Mr. Porter. This is one where I shedded a couple of tears because you could totally tell Mr. Porter, the school ain't going to back him after this testimony. And he told the blatant truth of he did protocol, but he still could have done more. And he didn't do more, which I want to know who was on the other line when he was talking to Hannah. But this one was a very sad one where you could just tell Mr. Porter, he knew he was going to lose his job, and he just had to tell the truth to get everything off his chest, and for the Bakers as well. And this episode as well kind of has a conflict of interest with Mr. Porter and the baseball team coach, because at the very beginning of the season, Mr. Porter got in a fight with Justin's drug dealing stepfather or mother's boyfriend, and the baseball coach was like, hey, I know some cops, so you're not going to be arrested or have a record anymore. So the cop thought he was helping Mr. Porter, and there's this dynamic between them. So yes, there's that as well. Throughout this is also where the episode where Skylar and Zach, and actually Clay now, are vandalizing the baseball field and calling them all rapists. And doing that actually helped their cause, not because of the vandalism, because other baseball players, they're now being in this rapist group, and other baseball players are like, nah, I don't want to be considered a rapist. I'm not a rapist. Episode 10 is Tony on the stand, and his past comes out. Basically, his past is very violent, and why Hannah gave Tony the tapes. Hannah gave Tony the tapes is because Tony and Ryan were going out, and then someone quote-unquote called him a faggot. Tony beat the living crap out of the guy, and Hannah hid Tony in the movie theater so he wouldn't get in trouble. So that is why Tony has the tapes of Hannah, and why basically Hannah helped Tony. Now Tony needs to help Hannah. And now this is where more of the clubhouse gets found, and where a baseball game happens. Zach walks off the field, goes to the clubhouse, and gives the pictures to Justin and Clay. And this is where Clay's like, wait, Zach, you're the one that's been giving me the photos? And Zach's like, yeah. You have more courage than me, so that's why I'm giving it to you. Now, episode 11 is putting Chloe on the stand, which Chloe is Bryce's girlfriend. And there are pictures of basically Bryce raping Chloe. And they thought, this is a wham bam, thank you ma'am, getting Bryce in trouble. But yet, Chloe lies on the stand saying she actually remembers that night of getting drunk, doing drugs, and having sex. And this is where a fun fight happens in the halls, with the baseball team, the rebels, aka the punk rockers, and everyone else. And this is a huge dynamic where you saw stuff happening. So this is Montgomery character and Alex. You could tell there was dynamic between them. The Dela Cruz baseball player and Clay, and Zach basically beating up all the other baseball players as well. So with Dela Cruz and Clay's in detention, like, why didn't you punch me? And he's like, because not all baseball players are rapists and there's no reason to hit you. And then Montgomery and Alex, there's a lot of flashbacks with this of, oh snap, they both basically were in the pool house while Bryce was raping Hannah. And this is why Alex tried to kill himself, is because of that scene. Episode 12 is Justin. And this is where Justin tries to tell us truth of he saw the rape happen and everything else. And once they realize they're not going to get there, they bring the police involved and do an official report. Now, something in this kind of bugged me with the dialogue of Hannah's mom saying every woman she knew has gotten sexually assaulted in her life. It's a bold statement, let's put it that way. And I guess this is why Matt Damon got in trouble, and I might get in trouble for saying this for all you 15 people going to watch this. But for normal guys, I'll call me and Matt Damon normal guys who would never think about doing that to a woman, girl, female, and we kind of get in that lump category of labels of all men are assaulters, rapists, or treat women like pieces of meat. And it kind of hurts because we're good guys and we don't do that or ever would think of it, but yet we still get labels. And I think the show also puts there's labels on people that you don't need to do because you don't know people, and putting labels on every single person is very dangerous. All right, in episode 13, if you read the reviews, there's a lot of controversy with this because a sexual assault happens to a guy and it ends with the school shooting actually happening. This might be morbid. I wish the school shooting would have been a cliffhanger for season 3, but it wasn't. I'm not going to spoil anything, but something happened, and I'll kind of like the talk with this because a lot of people, this might be why a lot of critics didn't like it, honestly, because this proves that gun violence in school might not be a gun issue. It might be a bullying issue where kids aren't getting the help they need and adults are basically turning their backs on these kids and they just feel helpless and they feel like they need to take matters in their own hands. So this might not be a gun issue, it's a bullying issue in school in general because let's be honest, high schoolers can be dicks. Luckily, I was in a high school that graduation of 60 people, so I think there wasn't that much bullying before what I saw. So there's the quick recap of all the episodes. Now here's the good, the bad, and the score. The good, of course, acting was superb, directing was superb, and the actual atmosphere of everything. The characters are likable, and that's what you want in a TV show like this to keep you entertained. You want likable characters, and this does it very well. And since they actually expanded on the story, different from writing, but I like this story better because it really wasn't a blame game. It was actually bigger issues at hand of what is happening to all these other people. And I love that it's not the blame game because the blame game can be very dangerous and it's kind of frustrating. Because even in this episode, I think it was after Jessica's trial. No, sorry, this is where actually Clay releases the tapes and he only thinks about Hannah. And that's the problem with Clay in this, is he only thinks about Hannah being that perfect angel on his shoulder, and she can do no harm, no bad. She's perfect. Which, bringing it back, she bullied someone at her old school. Little did you know that Hannah also bullied other people. And so, like I said, that's good. The bad, some of the writing bugged me. Like I said, they switched Clay into a SJW hardcore. Just his believability kind of went downhill. But while his went downhill, a lot of other characters were more improved. Like Justin's was more improved, Alex is more improved, Zach's was more improved, and Tyler's is more improved, and this new character, Skylar, punk rocker. I hope he's actually in season 3 because I do like his new character. So there's a lot of these new characters that expand and make the series better in my opinion, while Clay actually, even though he's the main guy, he acted good, but the way they written him in this one, I did not like it at all. Just how he made him he's so about Hannah, and that's all he cares about, and he doesn't really know her, and all he does is fight for her, even though it's like, does she need this fighting, or is some of this truth that you have to say, you know what, she's a good person, but she did have sex with Zach. She did bully other people. She did have other relationships. She was curious. It's not that hard to believe, but for some reason, Clay is so close-minded in that aspect. I just don't get it. And with the Polaroids, he does one of the stupidest things in episode 11. It seemed like really sloppy of writing as well of, why are you going to leave all the evidence of a crime scene in the back of a visible car? Makes no sense, and I don't think he was really driving a Prius anyway. So recap, good directing, good acting, good atmosphere, and good storytelling. The bad, some of the dialogue and Clay, but all the other characters I actually enjoyed expanding them as well. Like I said, Marcus is that kind of out of the scene, Courtney was kind of out of the scene, but they expanded on Ryan, Tony, everyone else. I enjoyed that. So 13 Reasons Why, Season 2, will receive 3.5 out of 5 blue futons, which equals to 70%. Now let's see what the critics and user scores on Rotten Tomato gave this. All right, I'm in the minority with this one. Critics, 26%. Audience score, 55%. And this is what the critic consensus is. By deviating from its source material, 13 Reasons Why can better explore its tenderly crafted characters. Unfortunately, in the process, it loses track of what made the show so gripping in the first place. I really have to disagree with the critic consensus because I actually believe the story of the courtroom and seeing other people's opinion made it more gripping. And FYI, I kind of cried a little more in this one with some of the characters. So you know what? I enjoyed Season 2 better. So this might be a little crazy talk, but I feel like the more they expand on these characters, the better the show actually gets. So do you agree with the critics 26%, the audience scores 55%, or my 70%? With this Chase Yaki with the Blue Futon, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this Blue Futon Utopia, you Blue Futonians. Thank you for watching, and ring that bell because who knows what YouTube's going to do in the next 13 months or years. But you know what? Have a great day. And seriously, if you're suicidal, or you have tendencies, suicidal thoughts, get help. There's plenty of help. Call. Just don't do it because you think you're ending your life, you're hurting, and might end a lot more lives when you leave. So no suicide, get help, and talk about it. Thank you. Thank you for watching.